That can of soup sitting in your pantry right now looks like comfort food. Familiar label, affordable price, the meal your mother made when you were sick. But crack open the wrong can, and what you're really eating is sodium levels that destroy your kidneys, laboratory-engineered flavors designed to trigger addiction, and ingredients so far removed from real food that scientists had to invent new words to describe them. In today's video, we're exposing 9 canned soup brands you should never buy, and at the end, 3 that are actually worth your trust. 9. Progresso, the blue can. The brand that spent decades positioning itself as the sophisticated alternative to Campbell's. Real ingredients, authentic Italian-inspired recipes. Premium supermarket positioning that made shoppers feel good about grabbing it off the shelf. Then you read the label. Progresso's traditional chicken noodle contains monosodium glutamate, better known as MSG, not hidden right there in plain print. MSG is a flavor enhancer that artificially amplifies taste signals in your brain, making mediocre ingredients taste richer than they actually are. Your brain gets tricked, you feel satisfied, you buy it again. That's not cooking, that's neuroscience weaponized for repeat purchases. But the sodium is where Progresso truly reveals itself. 1 can of Progresso traditional soup contains up to 960 milligrams of sodium. The American Heart Association recommends no more than 2,300 milligrams per day total. 2 cans of Progresso, and you've nearly hit your entire daily limit before dinner. Here's what they don't advertise. General Mills bought Progresso in 1989. Since that acquisition, independent analysts have documented steady formula changes, cheaper protein sources, reduced vegetable content, increased reliance on flavor chemistry, to compensate for what real ingredients used to provide. Open a can right now. Smell it. That rich broth aroma hits immediately, but notice how artificial it is. One-dimensional, engineered. Real chicken broth smells complex, slightly fatty, layered. This smells like a laboratory decided what chicken should smell like. Pour it into a bowl and look at the vegetables. Pale, mushy, structurally collapsed. Vegetables that have been pressure cooked and sitting in liquid for months don't retain nutrition. They retain the appearance of nutrition. For seniors managing blood pressure, nearly 1,000 milligrams of sodium per can accelerates hypertension damage. For families feeding children soup as a healthy meal, you're delivering MSG and collapsed nutrition in a convenient blue package. Progresso built its brand on looking better than the competition. Looking better is not the same as being better. 8. Campbell's Chunky, the NFL. The big game. The advertising that spent 30 years convincing America that chunky soup is what real men eat. Hearty portions. Real ingredients. Soup that eats like a meal. Pull up the ingredient list on Campbell's Chunky Classic Chicken Noodle. Mechanically separated chicken. That phrase deserves your full attention. Mechanically separated chicken is produced by forcing chicken carcasses, bones included, through high-pressure machinery. The result is a pink paste that bears no resemblance to chicken meat. It contains bone fragments, spinal cord tissue, and significantly higher bacteria counts than hand-processed poultry. The USDA requires specific labeling for it because it cannot legally be called chicken. It's in your chunky soup. Then there's the soy protein isolate, a highly processed extract used to bulk up protein numbers on nutrition labels without using real meat. Hydrolyzed soy protein, another flavor enhancer, functions similarly to MSG, but doesn't require the same labeling. Companies use it specifically to add savory depth, while avoiding the consumer backlash that comes with MSG disclosure. Same effect, different name. Your brain still gets manipulated. Sodium sits at 890 milligrams per serving, and there are 2 servings in 1 standard can. Most people eat the entire can. That's 1,780 milligrams of sodium in 1 sitting. For diabetics, the refined carbohydrates from processed noodles and starchy thickeners spike blood sugar violently. For anyone with kidney disease, sodium at these levels accelerates decline. For families who bought this because the NFL told them it was real food, mechanically separated paste and hydrolyzed flavor chemicals are not what any advertisement ever showed you. Campbell's Chunky earned its name. The deception is chunky too. 7. Healthy choice. The name is the lie. Healthy choice. Say it out loud. Your brain processes those 2 words and makes an assumption before you've read a single ingredient. That assumption is exactly what Conagra Brands is selling. Healthy Choice soups market themselves aggressively to diabetics, heart patients, and weight-conscious consumers. Low-sodium versions, reduced-calorie options, clean green packaging that signals wellness. They specifically target the people most desperate for genuinely safe food. Here's the problem. Healthy Choice soups rely on modified food starch as a primary thickening agent. Modified food starch is created by chemically or physically altering starch to change its behavior during processing. It adds body to thin, watery soup bases, creating the illusion of richness. Your body processes it as refined carbohydrate, spiking blood sugar in diabetics who specifically chose this brand because the name told them it was safe. Independent nutritional analysis found Healthy Choice soups averaging 450 to 600 milligrams of sodium, even in their reduced sodium lines. That's better than Progresso. It is not healthy. The vegetable content tells the real story. Open a can of Healthy Choice Garden vegetable. Count the actual vegetables. What you'll find are small, identical cubes of carrot and potato that were processed months before you opened the can. The vitamin content of canned vegetables degrades significantly during thermal processing and extended storage. You're eating the memory of a vegetable, not the nutritional reality. For cancer survivors who switched to Healthy Choice because it promised clean eating, modified starches and degraded nutrition are not what recovery requires. For seniors with diabetes who trust this brand explicitly because of its name, the glycemic impact of its refined starches directly contradicts their dietary needs. Conagra built a brand entirely on an unregulated word. Healthy means nothing legally on a label. They knew that when they named it. 6. Amy's Organic. This one hurts, because Amy's built genuine trust with genuinely good intentions. Founded in 1987 by a couple who wanted clean, organic, vegetarian food options, the brand that health-conscious shoppers reach for without hesitation. Premium pricing that signals premium ingredients. Then the lawsuits arrived. In 2022 and 2023, multiple class action lawsuits were filed against Amy's Kitchen, alleging disturbing labor practices at their manufacturing facilities. Former employees described dangerous working conditions, injuries, and inadequate safety protocols. The suits gained significant media coverage and rattled the loyal customer base that had paid premium prices specifically because they trusted Amy's ethical positioning. But that's not the ingredient problem. Here's the ingredient problem. Amy's organic soups contain carrageenan in multiple product lines. Carrageenan is a thickener derived from red seaweed that sounds natural because it technically is. But the Cornucopia Institute, an organic food watchdog, has published extensive research linking degraded carrageenan to gastrointestinal inflammation and has petitioned repeatedly to have it removed from organic certification standards. The National Organic Standards Board voted to remove it from approved organic ingredients in 2016, only for that decision to be reversed by the USDA under industry pressure. Amy's kept using it. Sodium in Amy's soups regularly runs between 600 and 860 milligrams per serving. For a brand charging $7 to $8 per can based on health positioning, that number requires explanation. For consumers with inflammatory bowel conditions, who specifically chose Amy's to reduce gut inflammation, carrageenan directly contradicts that goal. For families paying double the price of conventional soup, expecting genuinely superior nutrition, the sodium levels and controversial additives represent a significant betrayal of trust. Good intentions don't make good labels. 5. Panera, bread grocery line. Panera spent 20 years building one of the most powerful clean food narratives in American restaurant history. No artificial preservatives, no artificial colors, no artificial flavors. The You Pick Two lunch that felt virtuous. The brand that practically invented the idea of fast food you didn't have to feel guilty about. Then they brought that branding to grocery store shelves. Panera at home. Soups in cartons positioned next to premium refrigerated products, implying the same quality as their restaurant kitchens. The reality is a masterclass in brand extension deception. Panera at home soups are manufactured by third-party food processing companies under license. They are not made in Panera kitchens. They are not made to Panera restaurant specifications. They are shelf-stable or refrigerated commercial products wearing a restaurant brand's clothing. Sodium content in Panera, At Home, broccoli cheddar, soup reaches 890 milligrams per serving. Their chicken noodle runs 740 milligrams. The clean food messaging Panera built in its restaurants was never transferred to its grocery line. It transferred the logo and nothing else. Xanthan gum and carrageenan appear in multiple varieties for texture. Natural flavors, the label term that legally conceals dozens of possible chemical compounds, appears throughout their ingredient lists. Real Panera restaurant soup uses actual kitchen ingredients. The grocery carton uses food technology to simulate what kitchen ingredients taste like. For loyal Panera customers who specifically buy the grocery line because they trust the restaurant, you're buying manufactured association between a brand name and a quality standard that doesn't extend to this product. For anyone paying $5 to $7 per carton, believing restaurant quality followed at home, the manufacturing facility is not a Panera kitchen. It never was. 4. Wolfgang Puck Organic, Celebrity Chef, USDA Organic Certification. Artisan-looking labels. Wolfgang Puck built a culinary empire on genuine skill, authentic European training, and the kind of fine dining credentials that make consumers assume anything bearing his name reflects that standard. The canned soup line is where that assumption gets expensive. Wolfgang Puck. Organic soups retail at $4 to $6 per can, significantly above standard canned soup pricing. The organic certification justifies the price in shoppers' minds. What the price doesn't reflect is that organic certification applies to pesticide standards in ingredient farming. It says nothing about sodium content, processing methods, or nutritional quality of the final product. Wolfgang Puck. Organic chicken with white and wild rice contains 700 milligrams of sodium per serving. His tomato basil bisque runs 630 milligrams per serving and uses cream as a primary ingredient, contributing significant saturated fat alongside modified cornstarch for texture. The vegetable content across his organic line is minimal compared to price positioning. You're paying for the organic label and the celebrity name. The actual soup inside the can delivers industrial food quality at artisan food pricing. Independent comparison testing has found the nutritional profile of Wolfgang Puck soups virtually indistinguishable from mid-tier conventional canned soup brands selling for half the price. The organic wheat in the noodles does not transform the product into something your body processes differently than conventional pasta. For health-conscious seniors spending limited grocery budgets on premium products expecting premium results, celebrity branding does not equal clinical nutrition. For anyone who trusts a famous chef's name on a can, Wolfgang Puck has not been standing over a stock pot. A food manufacturing plant produced it. The name was licensed. Your money bought marketing. 3. Nissin Cup Noodles, the 3-minute meal, the college dorm staple, the emergency pantry item that tens of millions of Americans keep in their kitchens because it's cheap, fast, and the flavor is undeniably compelling. That compelling flavor should terrify you. One standard cup of Nissin Cup noodles contains 1,760 milligrams of sodium. The economics work because the ingredients are almost entirely refined flour, palm oil, and salt. There is no real food in this container that your body recognizes as nourishment. The noodles are deep fried in palm oil during manufacturing to achieve their characteristic texture and shelf stability. Palm oil is one of the most pro-inflammatory dietary fats available, high in saturated fat, linked to elevated LDL cholesterol and cardiovascular damage with regular consumption. You're eating deep-fried noodles and calling it soup. Then there's TBHQ, tertiary butyrhydroquinone, a petroleum-derived preservative used to extend shelf life in fried food products. Animal studies have linked TBHQ to tumor development. The FDA permits its use at concentrations below 0.02% of total fat content. Nissin uses it at approved levels. The question is not whether it's legal. The question is why a soup needs a petroleum-based preservative at all. For teenagers eating cup noodles as a regular meal, 1,760 milligrams of sodium plus TBHQ plus deep-fried palm oil noodles is not a meal. It's a collection of industrial processes shaped into the approximate form of food. For seniors on fixed incomes who rely on cup noodles for affordability, the long-term cardiovascular damage from near-daily maximum sodium intake will cost exponentially more in medical expenses than the money saved on groceries. Cheap food is never actually cheap. 2. Lipton cup of soup. Warm, comforting, dissolved in hot water in 30 seconds. The quick fix you reach for when you're sick, exhausted, or just need something hot in a hurry. Lipton has been in American kitchens since 1893. That history feels like trust. The ingredients list tells a different story. Lipton cup of soup. Chicken noodle contains maltodextrin as a primary ingredient. Maltodextrin is a processed starch derived from corn, wheat, or potatoes that functions as a filler, thickener, and flavor carrier. It has a glycemic index between 100 and 110. White table sugar has a glycemic index of 65. The filler in your sick day soup spikes blood sugar faster than sugar does. Hydrolyzed soy protein and autolyzed yeast extract both appear on the ingredient list. Both function as hidden SAR MSG equivalents, stimulating glutamate receptors in your brain to create savory flavor sensations from ingredients that have none on their own. The actual chicken content is so minimal that without these flavor enhancers, the soup would taste like hot salt water, which is essentially what it is. Sodium comes in at 830 milligrams per cup. For a product marketed extensively to sick people seeking comfort and recovery, delivering nearly 40% of daily sodium in one serving does nothing to support immune function or recovery. It stresses kidneys, it elevates blood pressure, it dehydrates. For parents giving cup of soup to sick children, trusting that warm soup means healing, maltodextrin, hydrolyzed protein, and nearly 1,000 milligrams of sodium are not medicine. For seniors who've trusted Lipton for decades, that century-old brand name belongs to Unilever now. The company that brought us Lipton tea full of pesticides. The legacy and the product have nothing to do with each other anymore. 1. Campbell's Condensed, the red and white can. Andy Warhol made it art. Your grandmother kept it in the cabinet. The most iconic food package in American history. Introduced in 1898. 126 years of trust built into that label before you've opened a single can, and they used every year of it. Campbell's Condensed Chicken Noodle Soup contains 890 milligrams of sodium per serving. The can holds 2 servings. Americans routinely prepare and consume the full can. That's 1,780 milligrams of sodium, plus the water you add to reconstitute it in one bowl of soup. The chicken is mechanically separated chicken, the same pink paste described in Campbell's Chunky, present here in the original formula. The noodles are enriched wheat flour, meaning stripped white flour with synthetic vitamins injected back in. Enriched flour is bleached during processing, a reaction that creates chlorine-based byproducts in the finished product. Here's what makes Campbell's the worst offender on this list. Not the sodium, not the mechanically separated chicken, not the synthetic enrichment. The deliberate exploitation of nostalgia. Campbell's knows that red and white can trigger emotional responses in consumers that bypass rational ingredient evaluation. They know your grandmother's kitchen lives in that label. They spent 126 years building that association, and they have spent the last 4 decades quietly replacing real ingredients with cheaper industrial substitutes while the can looked exactly the same. In 2017, Campbell's faced declining sales as consumers began reading labels more carefully. Their response was not to improve ingredients, it was to launch marketing campaigns emphasizing heritage and nostalgia. They doubled down on the emotional manipulation while the formula stayed the same. For seniors who've trusted this brand literally their entire lives, you trusted a memory. The soup inside that can has not been what it was when your grandmother made it. For families feeding sick children, the same chicken noodle soup they were given as kids, the product you remember no longer exists. The can exists. The trust exists. The original food does not. 9 brands. Mechanically separated paste, laboratory flavor engineering, petroleum preservatives, and 126 years of nostalgia weaponized against the people who trusted it most. But real soup still exists. Some companies never sold out. These 3 prove canned soup doesn't have to be industrial fraud. Safe pick 3. Kettle and Fire Bone Broth. Soup. Kettle and Fire does one thing differently from every brand on this list. They start with real bones. Slow simmered for up to 24 hours, the way stock has been made for centuries, before food manufacturing decided that process was too slow and too expensive. The result is genuine collagen content, measurable glucosamine, and authentic amino acid profiles that processed soups chemically simulate but never actually contain. Sodium runs between 300 and 450 milligrams per serving, roughly half of what conventional brands deliver. The ingredient lists are short and recognizable: organic chicken bones, organic vegetables, apple cider vinegar, sea salt, herbs. Every item is something you could buy at a farmer's market. Third-party testing confirms no artificial preservatives, no MSG, no carrageenan. The broth is shelf-stable through high-pressure processing rather than chemical preservation, a method that eliminates pathogens without destroying nutrients or requiring additives. For seniors with joint pain-seeking collagen support, the genuine collagen content here is clinically measurable. For families who want soup that actually functions as nutrition rather than as a sodium delivery vehicle, Kettle and Fire proves the standard is achievable. Safe pick 2. Paleo Valley Organic Soups. Every ingredient is certified organic. Every batch is third-party tested for heavy metals, pesticide residues, and microbial contamination. The results are published. You can verify them before purchasing. Paleo Valley sources grass-fed beef and pasture-raised chicken, meaning the protein quality reflects animals raised on appropriate diets rather than industrial feed operations. The nutritional difference is measurable. Grass-fed beef contains significantly higher omega-3 fatty acids and conjugated linoleic acid compared to conventionally raised alternatives. Sodium stays below 400 milligrams per serving across their product line. No modified food starch, no hydrolyzed protein, no carrageenan. The ingredient lists read like a recipe, not a chemistry exam. For cancer patients who need to know exactly what is entering their bodies during treatment, the third-party testing transparency here is genuinely rare in the canned food industry. For families who want clean protein and real vegetables without the industrial shortcut ingredients, Paleo Valley charges more because real ingredients cost more. That math is honest. Safe pick 1. Imagine Organic Soups. Imagine has been producing genuinely clean canned soup since 1987. Their broths and soups start with organic vegetables actually cooked down into the base, not added as dried fragments after the liquid is produced. Here sodium averages 350 to 480 milligrams per serving, depending on variety. Carrageenan-free across their entire line. No MSG, no autolyzed yeast extract, no hydrolyzed anything. The ingredient panels are transparent and short. Their free-range chicken broth contains organic chicken stock, organic vegetables, organic herbs, sea salt. 6 ingredients total. That is what soup was before corporations decided 6 ingredients weren't profitable enough. Wide availability in mainstream grocery stores makes this the most accessible clean option on this list. The price point runs $1 to $2 above conventional canned soup. For the ingredient difference you're buying, that premium is among the most justified in any food category. For anyone burned by every brand on this list, Imagine is where you start over, and there you have it. From mechanically separated chicken paste to petroleum preservatives hiding in your sick day staple, we've exposed what's really inside those familiar cans. Corporate greed turned comfort food into a sodium bomb wrapped in nostalgia, but real options still exist. Kettle and Fire, Paleo Valley, Imagine. 3 brands that never confuse profit margins with food. Go check your pantry right now. If you see any of the 9 brands we exposed today, you know what to do. If this opened your eyes, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. More food investigations are coming. Stay sharp, stay healthy, and keep rising.